here at JTech today, I'll be teaching you all about engine timing, engine heads, and how to use a plastic gauge on the crankshaft clearance. So these are the head cylinders, and today I'll be explaining some of the components. Here's the top of the head cylinder right under the valve cover. These two long shafts right here, these are the rocker shafts. They hold the rocker arms, and then under the rocker arms are the valve springs on one side, and the other side, right underneath everything, is the camshaft. And the camshaft, when it rotates, the different size lobes control how much the rocker arm pivots forward to press onto the valve spring to open the valve. And then it comes back once it's on a lower part of the camshaft and closes that valve. And that is the top of the head cylinder and its components. And then here's the underside of the head cylinder. You can see the valves. The exhaust valves will always be smaller than the intake valves. And these holes all the way around the cylinder, these are where the water passes through, or the coolant to cool down the head. They're the water jackets. And this hole right here, right there, they are oil passages, and they flow the oil to the various moving parts of the head cylinder. And then you have to, like, the surface of it has to be a certain roughness depending on which head gasket you will use for the application. And those are the head cylinders. So this is just a simple single overhead cam setup, timing, and I'll be explaining the components and their purpose and how it all forms together. So up here, this is the gear for the crank, or no, this is for the camshaft. This one's for the crank. This is a balancer. This is a balancer. Wait, actually, that is a oil pump. No, balancer, oil pump, tensioners right here. The first belt controls the balancers on the crank for balance, for less vibrations. This belt connects the crank to the cam to the water or oil pump. So this will open the valves at the right moment as the pistons are being moved with the crank. And the tensioners, they keep the tension so everything does not slip or move out of place, because if the timing moves even one tooth, the valves could open right as the pistons are at top dead center, and they could clash and bend the valve, and you'll have to do a lot of head work. So, and once these get a little bit too, there's specification for how these are supposed to be put on and how much they're supposed to flex. You're supposed to be able to read the actual name on the belt, and it goes for both belts. And the flex, that flex right there, there's a certain specification for it for this engine. And that'll be all for the timing on engines. Hey there. This is a crankshaft. This is the bottom of the engine. This piece is what controls the up and down movement of the pistons. And today we'll be measuring the main journal, or one of the main journals, for bearing clearance. And what tool you would use is called plastic gauge, and it's just like a ruler of a little string of wax, and then you have your measurements. And then you would lay your strip across the bearing, or across the surface where the bearing would touch, and then you would put your cap back on. And once you put your cap back on, you would screw it down and then hand tighten it just a tad bit. And then you would take it back off, and then you would use the little plastic gauge and measure what it is, and that is the gap between your bearing and the actual crankshaft. And from those measurements, you can determine if you would need a oversized bearing or a OEM specified bearing size. And that's it.
Most everything is still